Today's guest is a lifelong friend. My brother in every sense of the word, Nick Aikens. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, Nick's journey has taken him from the neighborhood to Vanguard University and all the way to the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. But beyond the athlete, today we're diving into the man. Shaped by love, grounded in faith, and guided by the steady presence of a father who never wavered. This episode is all about life's choices, growth, and what it means to be raised with a foundation that truly lasts. Welcome to this episode of the Healthy Mental Pod. Bro, it's been a minute, bro. It's been years. It's not a minute. It's been years.
Too long.
Craziness. It's been too long, man. Appreciate you being here, man, on this episode of the Healthy Mental Pod, bro. And today I really wanted to kind of touch in on, I just want to catch up and then touch in on some stuff, that we went through when we were younger and some stuff that kind of, we kind of identify with and helped us grow and some things that maybe we didn't have in life, and I really wanted to touch on how important that role of having your father in your life was. Mm-hmm. Especially coming from someone that didn't have his dad around. I grew up with my mom and everything like that.
For sure.
And I know for me, for me, I grew from that. There's positives in everything. I took the positives from not having my dad around. And then I also, as a younger person, it definitely affected me, man. And there was some growth, stunting that happened when I was younger. And so, brother, what have you been up to, bro? I want to, Nick, let me give you a quick introduction and stuff like that. My boy, Nick, him and I grew up together. Since we're about 12, 13 years old, we played travel ball together. Some crazy stories, man. You guys are going to hear some of them. We played travel ball together. We played in the Cape Cod All-American game. Our junior year of high school going into our senior year, we were All-Americans together. Area code games. Yeah, that's right, man. We did the area code games. And then Nick ended up playing with the Los Angeles Dodgers for a little bit. And then I believe you played in Japan, didn't you?
Played in Japan for a little bit. Some stints in Mexico, indie ball. Yeah. A long time.
Man, how was playing in Mexico, bro?
It was different. I mean, it took me a while. I'd been trying to get down there for a long time, for whatever reason, it just wasn't happening. I got my my opportunity in 2021. Unfortunately, I went down there with a bad shoulder, so I wasn't able to make it into the season. I mean, it was an accomplishment, let me say that, to get down there because I had been grinding for a while and feeling like I'm spinning my wheels. So when it happened, it was nice. Wish it would have turned out differently, but it is what it is.
Right. But how long were you down there?
I was there in 2021 for spring, and then the next year in 2022, I was in Leon with the Bravos, and didn't make it out of that spring training either. So
I hear you, man. Dude, so the only thing I know about Mexico, playing baseball in Mexico, I've heard from other guys that I had gone to indie ball with, and they had some connections to the Mexican leagues, and they were playing down there, in the off seasons and stuff like that. And then we'd have some guys with the Cardinals, man, that would go and play the AAA guys and stuff like that. They'd get that good money down in Mexico and go play. But I heard some stories, man. I had a dude that came back and told me that a bunch of the teams down there, that's where they the cartels launder their money, man. And one guy said that he went down there to play, and he was in the wrong part of town, and some rival cartel for another team picked him up. And the only reason that he said he got out of that thing unscathed and alive was because he was able to contact his general manager that verified and validated, yeah, he's on the team, he's good. And they just basically said, hey, man, you're in the wrong part of town. Did you ever see any of that? Did you hear any of that kind of stuff?
I definitely heard it. I didn't see it in my experience. Definitely have heard several of those stories. I was always a dude that I didn't very non-adventurous. So wherever I went or so, I was usually just where I was staying in the field, and maybe to get something to eat. I've never been, I don't know if that has something to do with how I grew up, or you know what I'm saying? I've just never been very like, let me just start walking around. And I was in my room, I went to the field. But for sure, I've heard those stories. Did I see it? I didn't see it firsthand. Definitely heard more than one occasion some very interesting things out of Mexico for foreigners. Yes,
bro. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So yeah, I believe that, man. Nick, you took the words out of my mouth, bro. Nick and I had completely polar opposite upbringings, man. Nick grew up in the city, and that brought this ruggedness to Nick that I saw, but I loved it, man. He had this rawness about him, and he was always telling you the honest truth, and he would never overstep his bounds. He would never say anything. And I think that does come from where you come from and the way that you were brought up. You can't just run around. Talk to people about where you're from, your upbringing, and how that shaped you, brother.
I'm from South Central Los Angeles, born in '87, so I didn't really grow. I wouldn't say I grew up in the '80s. I grew up more in the '90s and the 2000s out here. I don't know how to describe it. It's not. I guess some maybe movie ideas, movie people have seen or things you've heard, but kind of characterizations or stuff of some things that were going down at the time. It's a lot of gang banging, a lot of violence, drugs. Just it wasn't the greatest environment. But it is like I always say, it is what it is. This is where I grew up at. I wasn't myself immersed into the culture per se, just because my mom and dad didn't allow that. That
Right.
is a part of my dad's past. Not with the gangbanging, but just hustling, being in the streets. But he didn't allow any of me or my brothers and sisters to do that. So the culture inside our home was very different than what was going outside our home. Now, obviously, when I went outside, they couldn't protect me from everything. I'm in school with these, you know what I'm saying? I'm in school with
Right,
these
right,
people.
right.
I'm playing sports against with these kids. I'm in the parks, and I frequented all the neighborhood things, but in my home, very different culture than what was going on outside. So that definitely played a role in, I guess, some of my personality, some of my do's and don'ts, maybe some shortcomings in my personality, and some other things that might have helped me too. So we all have those stories.
Big time, big time. Is that part of a lot of the reason Nick went to LA High? Originally, we went to LA High, right?
I did, and I went to El Camino my junior year, came back to LA High my senior year.
That's right. And I'm gonna get into that El Camino story. I know it very well from what actually happened. LA High, man. So you didn't play. Did you play? You played high school baseball your freshman year, I believe, and then you didn't. You didn't play high school baseball sophomore year, right?
Played my whole freshman year.
Right.
Then my sophomore year, I probably played about 10 games. My dad took me off the team. And
Right.
then I didn't play the rest of that year. Then my junior year I went to El Camino, transferred to El Camino. I probably played again less than 10 games, got kicked off that team. And then I finished the rest of the year there. Then I went back to LA High, and because of the change of address rule, I wasn't allowed to play.
The interdistrict transfer stuff.
Hmm.
That makes sense. We'll get back to that. I am gonna circle back to that. I want to talk about when I first met Nick. We were like 12, 13.
We're
And the
young, we
first
were
time
kids.
we were young, man, and we were playing for a team called the Bat Attitude Mama's Boys. That was the name of this team.
Kevin
And
Oliva.
yes, yeah, Kevin Oliva is bare knuckle boxer down in Mexico. Yeah, our coach was crazy, man. So we played on a team that was a really well-known team. They had a lot of great players that were coming up on there. We had Hank Conger, Ernie Cho, some other people, man. We had a lot of great guys on our team that ended up playing collegiately and professionally. And a couple guys in the majors, and Nick and I were two of those guys that went on and played professionally and stuff. And it was cool, man. It was great. But that first tournament stuck in my head for a lot of reasons, man. So Nick and I are hanging out. We're the only two African American players on our team, and our team's out of Orange County.
Normal.
Yeah, pretty normal back then,
Mhm.
real normal. I think back then that was when baseball had less than 0.05 or something crazy African Americans playing baseball, bro. So now it's a little bit higher, but it was crazy. So we go down to a tournament it's down in San Diego, San Clemente. We're down in San Clemente, and Nick and I are just hanging out, and our team's real good, real good. And there's another team there, and one of the dads comes up to Nick and I and just starts flapping his gums. He's literally talking trash. And out of nowhere, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what he was saying. I didn't understand the lingo he was saying, but I'm looking at Nick, and Nick's face is just kind of like, he's not getting mad. He's just like, oh, his eyebrows are raising. Oh, okay, you're saying this to us. Well, the guy finished his sentence with, when I want to talk to you two, I'll have you come shine my boots. And Nick's face went, oh, hang on. He walked away real cash, went and got Big Nick, his dad. And I have never seen another dad afraid of somebody else as much as this guy was afraid of Nick's dad. And he said, you said what to my boys? You said what to my boys? I'm going to tell you something, man. And I learned right then and there. That was my first taste of racism. That was my first taste of knowing that was wrong, what this person was saying, and how you handle it, man. And his dad handled it very well. And he let everybody know that wasn't going to fly. So Nick and I had this bond back then where I was just like, man, Okay, so we stick together. So that was something I learned, and I learned that from your dad, watching that whole scenario, watching that whole interaction unroll, bro. And I was like, man, I wish I had a dad. For a long time, bro, whenever we'd go to tournaments, bro, I would run up to you and your dad, and I'd just kick it with you and your dad because
Yeah.
that was the only identity of a father, of a black father that I knew, bro. And so I was like, man, this is dope. I love this. Nick and I ended up going off and playing different tournaments and stuff like that. And, you know, life kind of happens and stuff. Let's talk about LA High and let's talk about why, you know, your dad pulled you off that team. I think I have an idea, but let's, you know, let everybody know what was going on and what some of the things you're facing, some of the dialogue you went with that you talked with your dad about and why that had to happen.
It just wasn't a good environment. The school itself, it's not pushing a lot of positivity. So I just think he wanted a better environment for me. He wanted something more challenging academically and uh, sports wise. You know, I wasn't at that time, you know, I was a very rebellious kid. It wasn't like I was super focused or disciplined, even though he was extremely strict. That was kind of my pushback for
Right.
maybe how strict he was. I wasn't taking school very seriously, hanging around with the wrong people, not going to class, things like that. Never getting in trouble, but not doing what I'm supposed to do.
Did you feel that at the time when your dad removed you? Because I remember thinking about it, bro. And it's baseball, man. When you're a top prospect like Nick was, like I was in high school in the LA County area, you hear everybody's business, man. One coach is going to tell another coach. We're all going to hear it. And these stories I heard from Nick and his dad. Did you feel any resentment towards your pops when he's pulling you off? Because I'm thinking, man, baseball is everything to me in high school, man. If I can't play baseball, why am I going to school? Why am I here? That's what my mentality was. So it's like, was there
Did
any
I feel
resentment towards pops?
for taking me off the team?
Yeah.
I don't think it was resentment. Obviously I wanted to play. I don't know if I resented him for it. I felt like probably back where my mindset was at that time, like, you know, this is a better situation. Obviously I still was immature. I wasn't thinking about school, thinking about
Right.
baseball. And you know, El Camino was a big program back then.
Right.
Had some guys that played pro ball, guys were going off to D1 schools, not really the culture at LA High. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. Right. Right.
I understand why I don't think I resented him for it. Again, you know, timing is everything. The individual's maturity level and focus and attention to detail at the time is everything. So a lot of things go into it rather than just, you know, trying to be in a good environment. Is the person ready to receive a good environment? Is the support there? Is the support from the environment going to be there? Is it the right environment just because it's better? Is it right for, you know, a lot of
Right.
stuff goes into that. So I don't know that to answer your question, I don't hold resentment to him
Right.
towards that. He was doing what he thought was best. And if
Absolutely.
if I was a different kid at the time, I probably could have taken way more advantage of it than we did,
Right.
even with it not being probably the best landing spot for me.
I mean, in the way I look at it, in both scenarios, A High and El Camino, in my opinion, was out of your control.
Hmm.
In my opinion, that was out of your control. But in the LA High scenario, yeah, I wouldn't hold any resentment. I would think that your dad was looking out for you and he had your best interest at heart at all, always. You know, that's what I saw. I mean, the most present father for an athlete that I'd ever seen. You know what I mean? It's, just amazing. One of those things. Yeah, let's talk about El Camino real quick. Yeah, Nick went to El Camino High, and El Camino High is in Woodland Hills. I don't know what that. I didn't go to El Camino High. I know the Woodland Hills area. It's got mixed. It's got Hispanics. It's got whites. It's predominantly hit white, but I don't know how many black
Very
people.
affluent area.
Very much so. It's right next to Calabasas, man. Calabasas High is just down the street across the freeway. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a great opportunity. I was actually, when I heard that you were going to El Camino, I was like, damn, man, he was going to a powerhouse, man. This is
Hmm.
great. This is where I thought the baseball world. And when I say baseball world, there's a lot of politicking in sports in general, but there's a lot of politicking in baseball, man. You could be the greatest player if you don't have the right people advocating for you in this sport. It just, for whatever reason, you get overlooked. So I thought that moment, I always felt Nick was always overlooked. Nick was, again, one of the top talents in LA County, top talents in the country, period. So I always felt Nick was overlooked, and I could never understand why. Um, Again, Nick, you just alluded to, you know, the mental makeup, the maturity, things like that. We all have to go through that walk, you know, and I was mature. I was mature for baseball and then immature just in life in general. So I had a lot of growing to do. And it took me obviously into my adulthood to realize, looking back, reflecting, going like, man, I wasn't there. So I understand those kinds of struggles that go through. I was going through them. So Nick's at El Camino High, powerhouse baseball program. And you guys were playing Reseda or Van Nuys?
When the incident happened,
Yeah.
nah, Long Beach, I want to say it was Polytechnic.
Interesting. So I thought it was Van Nuys, and it made more sense.
Nah, it was
Well,
a Hispanic school, Polytech.
yeah. So Nick's in the dugout, and at El Camino High, they're in something called City Section. Dugouts are real close. Dugouts are real close. You can hear somebody whisper on the other side. They decided that they were going to use some racial slurs towards my brother Nick, and unfortunately, if anything that I say resonates, is the one thing that I don't stand for is any kind of racial stuff. Man, you want to say something about somebody's the way they walk, make fun of them, do this other stuff, but you drop the N word, you drop any kind of thing like that, bro, it's a whole different ball game. And people want to tell you, oh, they're just words. They're just words. It's where those words come from. It's where they stem from, and it's what they mean behind those words
I
that
mean, they say them
affects.
for a reason.
Yes. So
To
I'll let
actually,
you. We won't get into the whole story, but I'll let you tell your version of the story, bro, so that they can hear it. Because I don't want to be the repeat on this one, brother. And yeah, we'll move on from that.
I mean, it was for whatever. It was just a chippy game from the start. Both sides were chippy. I don't know why. It's just how, you play baseball. It's just how that game was going. We
Right.
going back and forth with it, which I don't have a problem with. Like you said, that is part of the game. It's part of sports. So
Right.
it is what it is. I hit a line drive in the right field, got on first base, doing my stuff, talking my lingo. But in the very next pitch, I got picked off. So, they gave it right back to me as they should have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running off the field, and I heard one of the coaches say, this right here, thinks
Yep.
he's the shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran back into our dugout, and I just called my father over. I'm like, hey man, I just heard the coach call me an N-word. And he's like looking at me like, you sure? I'm like, Pops, I know what I heard. Yeah, he was like, okay, just chill out, play the game. I'll take care of it. Like, just play. So I didn't tell my coach, didn't tell none of my teammates. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't feel safe.
They don't
Yeah.
identify. They
Yeah,
don't
I don't know
identify.
why. I told my father, I told the person who I felt comfortable telling. So
Right.
I'm on the field playing. For the most part, it kind of let it go, trusting in my dad's advice. I was on deck. It's probably the fifth inning. They brought their closer in the fifth. I don't remember who was winning or losing. Guy throws seven right down the middle. I step in the first pitch. He hits me in the back of the neck.
Mm.
So with a fastball.
Yep.
So I'm going down the line and I'm telling him like, y'all have to go to the bus. That's what I think,
Yeah.
again, people don't like it's part of it's in me, it's part of where I'm like, y'all
Yeah.
have to go to the bus after the game. Like this is you feel safe right now, but y'all
Right.
have to leave here and I'm not going
Right.
anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they're jawing back and forth, yada yada. I'm on first base. I see my dad is he's standing by the entrance of their dugout
Oh.
and like that's bullshit. Y'all hit my son, yada
Mm-hmm.
yada, bullshit, yada yada. So he opens the dugout door and
Mm-hmm.
stepped inside
Right.
and he was just talking. One of the coaches grabbed him,
Yeah, that's the wrong thing to
and
do to Big Nick.
that was a bad idea. No, I don't take any joy out of him. Just a situation that happened. I was standing at
Right.
first. I didn't do anything on the field, but yes, obviously, as soon as somebody puts their hands on my father, like you've made the choice for me. So I
Right.
ran in the dugout, and we got to doing what we got
Mm-hmm.
to do.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go well for anybody who was in there. It didn't go well for me either because of how it out. But physically, it didn't go well for the people that were in there. 'Cause, nobody, on my team came over and did anything. It was literally me and my father against their dugout.
Yep.
That ended. Some ambulances came. They told my father he had to leave. They called the police, told my dad he had to leave. I end up going with the teammate. They kicked me out. Called the game. End up going with the teammate to his house for a little bit until my dad was able to come back and pick me up. And,
Right.
unbeknownst to us, they had called a team meeting that me and my
Mm.
father weren't privy to or invited to. And they just decided it was best that I not be on the team anymore. So,
Yeah. And so when all this is taking place, I went to a high school. It was I wouldn't call El Camino a rival whatsoever. No public high school would play us. I went to a private high school down the freeway, Oaks Christian in Westlake Village, and that's not where I'm from, man. I was born and raised in Agora Hills, but I was raised in Oxnard for the most part. When my parents separated and stuff, I was raised in Oxnard, predominantly with Filipinos, Hispanics, blacks, and whites. I was right next to a military base, so we had the melting pot. And I'm gonna be real, man. We didn't have that kind of I never felt that. Every now and, like I told you, the first time I experienced it was when we were down in San Clemente. So we never had that. So when I go to Oaks Christian though, the first time I heard you at El Camino, I said, oh, man, those bro, they're gonna look at him like a specimen. They're gonna look at him like, oh, we got this kid from LA. Man, we got this real black guy. I know how they're gonna talk to you and how they're gonna
Yeah,
talk
for
about
sure.
you. I got to Oaks Christian, bro. We're in uniforms. We'd have free dress day. I just reflected on this with the person that said this, and he's still a friend of mine. But he came up to me with like curiosity in his eyes, and we had a free dress day, and I'm wearing like some Jordan 1s, some Sean John pants, and a Sean John sweatshirt. And
Doing
dude
your
comes up to
thing.
me, he goes, yeah. He comes up to me, he's like, hey, Devin. Very curious, his eyes. He's just like, man, I see you dress black. But how come you don't act black? And that's what he said to me. And I was like, I said, okay. And I remember those are the kinds of things I had to deal with, bro. And I'm just like, I
Yeah.
don't care what I talk. I know I talk a little proper. I get it, man. I get where I come from. I'm from the suburbs. I'm not from the city. I didn't grow up like that. I would see my family that lives down in Inglewood, Christmas and Thanksgiving. It was great to catch up, but my family also was a part of the gang life. I have an uncle that's doing 25 to life in California State Prison. So that was something that my family didn't want me to step into, because I have cousins that still are part of that life, right? Exactly, brother. See,
Thank you, family.
so
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, right. And Nick's dad was doing the exact same thing. What's crazy is that parents want the best for their kids. Nobody wants their children to re-experience the life that they had to grow up in. My mom grew up in that life. Nick's dad grew up in that life, bro. Seeing that life. My mom went to Long Beach State at 15 and a half, emancipated minor. That she's trying to escape this life at all possible costs. So when Nick goes to El Camino, I already know what he's facing over there without him even saying anything. I don't even have to talk to Nick. I'm like, damn, that's an experience that you had to go through on your own. So when I hear that this El Camino situation happened on the baseball field, and I'm hearing it from my coach, and he's like, hey, do you know this Nick Aikens kid? I say, I know Nick real well. He's a great kid, blah, 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 blah. Well, no, this happened. I said, well, in my head, I couldn't even say anything to rebuttal to my coach, because I'm with a team. I'm the only black kid on the team at
I
Oaks
already know
Christian.
what you're going through. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
Not a
I'd have to
safe
sit there and be
space.
like, not a safe
It's not a
space. There's
safe
not going to be
space.
anybody that identifies. So I
Or
was sitting there, I'm
care.
like,
Or
man,
care.
nope. Nah. And if they do care, so this is the thing, me growing up, man, I remember being at these different events and having these opportunities and stuff like that, but it was because of my baseball skills, bro. It wasn't because of anything else. I got into Oaks Christian because I could swing a bat, and we didn't have the money to go to Oaks Christian. I didn't have probably the academic, grades to go to Oaks Christian. I played baseball, so I got to go there. I played baseball, so I got to go to Oklahoma. That was it, bro. Like, let's be real. I look back and there's a select few of my friends at Oaks Christian that I'm still good with, that I still talk to, that we're actually friends. Same thing with baseball, man. The people that used to like push us to the area code games and the behind the scenes, Nick, I don't know where a lot of these people are anymore. Like when baseball was done, we were done, bro. And so it made me feel, when I went into adulthood, I have kids. You have kids now. We both have 3, bro. I'm sitting there going, man, was that my worth, bro? Was that my worth? Was that all I was good for you? And that's how I'm feeling as I'm in my early 20s, starting to shape my family and stuff. I'm like, man. So it took a while, bro. And I had to think about it. But I do remember you and I going to that Cape Cod All-American game. And we're sorry, man. I don't mean to sound sad. We used to go to places for baseball. We're in Warren, Massachusetts or something like that, bro.
Worcester.
Worcester. There we go.
Spelled Rochester, but Worcester.
Nick and I are on. They're taking us on all the. It's an all-American game, so we're stopping at like little high schools or little hospitals, and then they're taking us on little ferry boats and stuff. We're in the Cape. Me and Nick in the Cape on these boats, looking around like, what in the world, bro? And I remember sometime during that situation, I don't know if you remember this. We were staying at a hotel. I walk into a room, and I don't know who it was, from what team, the East or the West. I don't know who it was, but they had the cigars. Remember the cigars?
I remember that.
You remember me getting mad?
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't remember it until you just said it, but now I remember it.
Yeah, bro, that never left me, and I remember it, bro. And this is a little pansy ass move that I gotta admit right now, bro. I remember reaching out to your dad. I don't know where, like when I saw him, me and him, like I saw him somewhere at a tournament, maybe the area code games. I don't know where it was, even after. And I remember reaching out to your dad, asking how you were doing. And we're talking about years removed from this situation that I'm about to tell you. Okay. And so I remember reaching out to your dad, and I was like, how's Nick doing? And he said, he's doing good, man. I said, can you please let Nick know? Because me and Nick, I don't think we talked again after that for a while until I ran into you at that baseball thing when you were hitting in the cage. So I said, will you let Nick know that I was just doing that out of love? and it was coming from a good place because I didn't want him, out there running like with these, and they weren't us that you were with
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
yeah,
room. They
yeah,
weren't us. Like that's how I felt. So I
yeah.
remember your dad straight up like a man because again, I didn't have a father around. I didn't know how to like come to somebody as a man. And your dad was like, man, I'm not gonna tell him this. I think that's something that you should say to him. Let him know,
Are
where
you
you're
saying
coming
we had a
from.
falling out?
We did, bro. We actually
Did
did,
we?
my guy.
Why don't I
Yeah, we
remember
did.
that?
Because we were kids, bro. It's like
Okay,
I'm gonna tell the story. So
okay,
Nick and I were always cool. We were always close. Nick
for sure.
describes himself. Nick is not a liar, bro. Nick describes himself to a T exactly how he was. He was rebellious. He did what he wanted to do, and he almost had that carefree attitude, like, man, we're only here so long. I'm gonna enjoy life, and it's not a bad
Yeah,
thing. He just had that. My boy Nick just had that spirit. He goes into a hotel room. I think I come in there a little bit later for this All American game, and somebody pulls out a cigar and some other shit. And they're just, and it's nothing bad. It's literally a cigar. And he lights it up in the room, hands it to Nick. And I see, just takes a little puff, hands it back. And I was like,
okay.
yo, you guys are stupid, man. They're going to call the hotel's going to smell. They're going to come up here, bro. This shit, they're going to talk about us. Did you know that these dudes at the All American game were smoking? I said, and then
Yeah,
that
it's
smoke's
all
going to
bad.
turn into something else. It's going to be like, I'm like, and I'm going off in this room. I'm like, yo, it's going to turn into this. Bro, they're going to sit there and say, oh, there was girls here. There was this here. They're doing drugs. It's going to turn into
Sure.
something completely different. And my whole thought process was I was watching the people that Nick was with. They were prospects. They were cool, bro. But they weren't prospects in my mind. And I know who they were. They weren't prospects in my mind that were ever going to do anything without the nepotism that they already had that got them there. So I was like, this isn't a good look, bro. And so I left. I left the room. I just remember maybe we didn't have a falling out, Nick. Maybe I had a falling out, my guy.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that
I'm not saying
because
I
you
didn't.
didn't.
I just don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not
you
saying
didn't. You didn't.
I'm
You.
not gonna say I did. I don't remember. But if you did do that, I'm as a man. Thank you. Well, I don't
Nah,
know
it's all
what I
good.
was on at 17 or whatever. However,
Yeah.
But if you did and you had my best interest, which I'm sure you did, I'm not questioning that. I thank you. Maybe I was tripping a lot at that time. So if I did have that response, like yeah, that was the old me that's not here anymore.
No, no,
I'm
I
not gonna
know.
put it past me. Yeah.
No, I know, and so to tie that in, man, those are some of the things that Nick and I would go through as young African American baseball players, man. And a lot of people didn't understand where we would come from, saying some things or not saying some things, more so than not saying things. And that was me trying to look out for Nick, and not in any kind of ways because I had a brother love for Nick, but I also didn't know how to communicate back then, bro. I was
Neither did I.
antisocial.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know how to do that shit, Nick. So I just remember those things, those stories, and then another situation where Nick and I were younger, and I can never understand again. I get invited to the Team USA tryouts, and that year they're at USC. They're in Nick's
hmm
backyard,
Right down the street.
so right down the street, and I'm sitting there like we're there for a week, and it's a tryout. I think he's like game one, game two, and everything. It's cool, man. It's great. We got players from all over the place, but I never could understand why Nick wasn't there because we had our core group of people. It was like Hank Congers and the different people. We were all there, and it was always weird when Nick wasn't there. And I was like, dog, is it because he didn't play high school baseball this year? Is it because of this situation that happened? Like, what
Probably.
was it, bro? Yeah, but Nick was there anyways. So we're sitting there playing, and all of a sudden I look down the line and I see these two people just chilling in the cage hitting. They weren't watching us, they were hitting, they were working. So when I go down the line, I sit there, I'm like, that's Big Nick and that's Nick. So I'm saying what's up to you guys. You're talking to me through the fence and everything. You guys stayed, you guys were chilling. And I think your dad used to come back and forth and would watch us do the workouts. He'd bring you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I watched you
Your
play
da-
there.
yeah, and your dad would always tell it like it is, man. Hey, and I got cut that year. I went 6 for 12. I went 6 for 12 in that, and I got cut.
I remember
And
that.
yeah, I went 6 for 12 and got cut, but I had six singles to the right side.
I remember that.
As a leadoff hitter. They had me in the leadoff spot. And Big Nick told me like it was, man. And I appreciated that when it was done. I was crying. And Big Nick's like, hey, bro, don't cry. Yeah, you ain't gotta cry, bro. He goes, you went 6 for 12. That's cool. But let's be real, bro. You had six singles. You're 6'2, you're 220 pounds. You had six singles, bro. They need power. You need to work on that. Bro, I'll be damned if I didn't go and work on that. Do you remember Jim Lentine coming and picking us up, Nick? And taking us down to Westchester High?
Shout out
Okay,
to
and we were taking
Lentine.
batting practice. Shout out to Jim Lentine. Thank you, man. And hell of illegal what he was doing. No, I'm just kidding.
It was. No, you ain't lying.
It
He's a
was.
fucking agent. Yeah. Illegal as
Yeah. So
hell, but we had that
Nick and I had
ability.
it. Nick and I had an agent that was he liked Nick a lot, and Nick and I kind of when we were doing stuff were a package deal. And this guy would come down and pick us up, tell everybody about the little home run derbies we were doing. We are supposed to be working on our swing and our stuff, and like not
We
taking big
were working
hacks.
on it.
That's it, man.
We were
Talk to him
working on
about
it.
it. What do you remember
Yeah,
from those times, bro?
I remember the challenge and the competitiveness, and it wasn't I'm not gonna speak for your side. I know for me it was never competitiveness out of envy or jealousy or hate. It was like, let's get it. Let's get it. It was always friendly, brotherly competitiveness. I know you knew going because we were at several, pre-draft workouts together, plenty. Like I knew coming
Yeah.
in, like you better be on your I better be on my shit because you gonna drop them. And you say you better not come in half stepping either, because if I get hot, nobody wants to go after me either. You
Mm,
better, yeah, you better come in on these rounds doing your shit. But yeah, Westchester, we had a lot of fun, man. We would be, going with Jim's approach for a little bit, and then after a while,
mhm.
yeah, it's time to start letting it loose, man. That's not
That's
fair,
right.
man. You got a kid, you give a kid a Ferrari, you tell him just drive 30 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, nah, I wanna gun this thing. Like,
Right.
we get the ball 450 feet, 60 in high school. Like, yeah, let me
Right.
let me get loose.
Jim would be throwing batting practice. Jim Lentine would be throwing batting practice. He'd start with a t-shirt on, throwing batting practice, and that shit would get so soaking wet. By
So
the time we were done, he would have no shirt on. He'd be hanging it over the L screen. So
he
Nick,
threw great BP too.
great BP. Nick wanted, so he always wanted us to go middle away, focus on that hillside over there and stuff like that. He
The
said,
right
try and hit that
approach.
hillside. Jim had it right, man. Jim had it right. And Nick and I, probably by round like 15, Nick and I would be like, but forget you, Jim. This
Yeah.
dude's over here talking trash to me while I'm hitting, dog. I need to start, And so we would try and hit home runs. Nick and I would, and this is freshman,
We wasn't
sophomore.
trying. We wasn't
Yeah, we
trying.
were. We were.
Huh? No, I said
I
we
said we
weren't
were.
trying. We was hitting them. We wasn't
Yeah.
trying to hit them.
Yeah. And Nick always had more power than me. Growing up, Nick had more power than me. Nick,
Can
I'm
you
being for
stop
real. Nick,
capping? But nah, I'm not even finna
nah.
let you. You trying to
So
sound
Nick,
good for the
what you
camera? You better
no,
stop that.
when it I know exactly when it happened, dog. I know when you sat there, your eyes open, and I had more power than you. When it happened, I know when it happened. It wasn't even when we did the home run derby at Cape Cod, because I barely won that, and I wasn't even in your division, dog. So it's like, look, we were hitting at this Westchester High with wood bats. Nick would hit them out. I would hit them out too. Nick's would go out real good and they would sound different. Mine would kind of scoot over, bro, at that time. They would scoot over. They would go over, but they weren't going as far as yours. And I always remember, because you would work out with your pops. You would do stuff with your dad. I didn't work out. I didn't do. And then all of a sudden we go to I start working out, bro. I start working out at Oaks Christian. I'm doing it by myself. I'm lifting. I don't know how to lift. I'm just doing curls. And then we go to the area code games our junior year, and that's when I jacked that ball up over the screen,
Hit
and it
that shit
went over the
over
tennis
into the tennis
courts.
courts. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was
and
crazy.
and yeah, and that ball went 450, whatever it went, and
Plus,
yeah, it probably went a little bit further, but I don't know, but like,
yeah.
so that was when I was like, okay, this is my bag. The power's my bag. Now I got to do it. But that was also, let's go back. Let's think about it. Your dad told me when I'm crying, yo, bro, you can't have 6 singles, bro. You got to work on that shit. So I went and worked on that, bro, because
Mhm.
that was I didn't have any male figures, dog. So any male figure that told me to do something, I went and did it, blind or not, bro, because I didn't know any better. So Nick and I are always doing this stuff, and it was great. That stuff was amazing, man. Let's talk about when you got with the Dodgers, bro. Tell us your story. Tell us how that happened, man. You got signed and everything like that. Tell us that story, and how was your time with the Dodgers? Give us your whole, your whole situation over there.
I got drafted. I signed in '09, my junior year, out of Vanguard, out of the NAIA. Dodgers took me in the 19th round that year. I don't know what I was asking for. Or was I don't even remember. I know the year before I was asking for like 250 out of high school. I was asking for 750, and then I dropped it to half a mil. But I
Right.
don't remember what I was asking for that year. But they signed me. I ended up signing for 30 grand. I didn't get no money. But they asked, because I was still playing infield. I had asked, was I gonna get a chance to play second base? That was one of my initial questions. And they told me, yeah, like you're gonna be in the infield every day, getting your work in, yada yada
The
yada.
the Dodgers told you this?
This is the Dodgers telling me this.
Yeah, yeah.
You're gonna get your work in. You're gonna, get your reps, get your innings. We want to work you in the outfield, but yeah, we're not gonna cut you off from the infield. Yada yada. I never saw the dirt with them once I signed. I didn't even have an outfielder's glove when I signed with them, and I was borrowing one of my teammates for a while, until I got an outfielder's glove. But yeah, I never saw the dirt with the Dodgers. But I had a really good first season and rookie ball and short season. Shit, the way they call dudes up now, I'd have been in the big leagues the next year.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right.
you get 3 hits in the minor leagues now and hit a home run, they be like, hey, he's ready.
Yeah. Send him
For
up
real. She's
straight up.
ready. Yeah, 'cause I think
Yeah.
my first 5 games, I think in Pro Bowl, I had 3 homers and like 2 doubles. And now, like, yeah,
Yep.
he's ready to go. But I had a good first year. I played at 2 levels. Then the next year in spring training, I ended up getting suspended for some BS. I don't even want to get into it because it's gonna make me mad. But it
Oh,
was
well,
it wasn't true. It
right.
wasn't true at the time.
Well, okay. Let me just, and we don't, was it not true? I never asked you about this. I've only heard this
Okay.
secondhand. This is the first time you and I
So
are
tell me
talking
what you
about
heard,
it.
and then I'll just say yes or no.
And I might cut this. So,
So,
there was a player on the team that was
mhm.
talking, doing his thing, talking his whatever. And you went into the locker room. You grabbed his cell phone, and then he saw it on his phone or something and went and told on you or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, somebody was texting his girlfriend. I think I know who it is. I'm not gonna say the person's name, but
Yeah, you know
I
it is.
believe it played out like that because we had just got off of spring training games. I wasn't playing, or I was
Okay.
coming in like the 6th or 7th or some shit like that. So I was in the locker room. I might have been using the bathroom or something going on in my locker. We had just got the little walk around money for the day.
Yeah.
They
Oh yeah.
slide the
Little meal
envelope.
money. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm by my locker and I see another one of the dudes. This is what in one of my teammates' lockers with his meal money. And I'm like, hey bro, like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, I am not thinking nothing of it.
Right.
I leave out. We come back in, getting undressed. The day is over. Yada. We about to shower and everything. And then I hear the accuser, somebody text him, yada, yada, yada. So,
Mm.
we all looking around like, dude, calm your down. Like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Somebody
Yeah.
text somebody, now she's not responding to me. And I remember it was me and my other partner, Linnell. We were sitting there like, if you didn't say these things and this your lady,
What are you
call her
tripping on?
and be like, "Babe, why do you think I would do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't send these things. Somebody's been in
Yeah.
my phone or whatnot." So not thinking nothing of it. We're
Right.
about to leave and somebody comes and taps me like, Dejan wants to talk to you. So I'm like, for what?
Oh, that was your minor league guy, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, for what? And they come going in there and they're like, hey, did you touch these phones and touch send it? I'm like, why would I do that?
Right.
No, no,
Yeah.
I didn't do that. And they're like, oh, well, such and such said they saw you in the locker room. I was like, I was in the locker room. I was using the bathroom and playing around in my locker. I was in the locker room. Yeah. But that has nothing to do with me touching his phone. I didn't touch this dude's phone.
Right.
So they're just going back and forth. Again, I'm 22. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And at the time I was very like we just talking, very ill equipped to handle these types of situations.
Right.
And they had me cut off. It wasn't like I stepped outside and then let me call my agent, let me call my father. And then I was in a room
Mm-hmm.
and they kept good cop, bad copping me, coming back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. I was in there for damn near an hour and a half, 2 hours. They kept
Right.
asking me the same things. Like, I'm like, no, I didn't do it. How many times do you want me to say I didn't do it? I didn't do it. They're threatening me like, they're getting personal now. I used to wear a lot of Superman merchandise. Like
Yeah.
I had the fitted hats, I had the shirts, the dog tags, I had the tattoo. That's a personal story that something me and my father had talked about. It was kind of like a self-esteem thing. I struggle with that a
Right.
lot. So this was kind of like I put that on. It kind of gave me a shield. I can do anything. It wasn't an outward thing, me screaming it and telling everybody. It was personal to me. They kind of went
Right.
on attack with that, like, who do you think you are? And you wear all this yada yada and do this and that. So I'm still sticking to, the truth. Like, I don't, you guys can say what you want to do. I didn't do these things.
Right.
So, oh, we have it on video. We have you on video doing it. So I'm like, okay, well, play the video. I'm sure I'm play the video.
What video? What cameras do you have in the locker room? Let me ask that.
I don't know, but if they
There ain't no
do,
cameras in the locker.
but
There's no cameras in the locker room.
if they did, play it. Since
That's
you're saying it,
wild.
why are you asking me? Because I'm telling you I didn't do it. So play the video. Play them. They walking back and forth. Like I said, I was in there for damn near 2 hours. And they finally came to me and they bullied me, you know. And
Right.
again, I was ill equipped. Hey, if you don't admit to this, we're gonna let you go. We're
Right.
gonna let you go. You're gonna be done. If you do admit to it, you know, we'll give you it'll be light. You'll get a light suspension. Everybody will
Right.
forget about it. You move on, you come back. And
Right.
you know, I'm a 19th round pick. I got 30. I didn't what was I gonna do? I see my dream floating away from me. This is gonna follow
Mhm.
me. It's not like if they release me, it's gonna be over. Like this is
Yep.
gonna be part of the story. And obviously it is because you heard it. This
Yes, sir.
person heard it. That part, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember I sat back in my chair like this and I was like, I did it. I did it.
It's one of those, bro. It's just like,
That's what happened.
and
I
that,
said honest, I was like, I did it. I went just like that.
damn,
And they were like, okay.
damn.
And got my flight right there, suspended me, sent me home. And I remember I seen in the locker room I mean at the hotel and I was like, bro, why would you say it was me? And he was like, oh, because I'm like, but you didn't ask me. You didn't ask me. And you just went and I'm like, you told the front office, dog? Like if it was
Yeah.
yes, you went and told, like you couldn't call your girl like, baby, it wasn't me, and then go if it was and come up and be like, hey, bro, don't ever touch my phone, yada yada. Like you went and told the staff, and he was like, oh, well, I wasn't trying to get anybody suspended. I'm like, well, what were you trying to do then?
Yeah. What were you trying to do,
What were
guy?
you trying to
Like,
do? But
yeah.
I'm not putting that on him. The organization
Yeah.
made that decision. They
Right.
put me in a corner. I mean, revisionist history, I'd have told them to do what they had to do because I didn't do it.
Absolutely. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what I did. They suspended me. I was at home for 76 games for the full season. And they told me it was going to be short.
Right.
You know, I remember they said I had to complete anger management. I had to go to for real. I was driving out to Burbank 2 or 3 times a week to talk to somebody.
Oh my
Then
God.
I was getting one of our field coordinators would call me every so often and ask me how I was doing. And I remember Deshaun, I'm calling because I haven't heard from anybody in a month. I know the games are just rolling by. I remember I
Right.
called and I left a message like, "Hey, I'm just trying to check in on what's going on, yada yada." And I remember he
Right.
called. It just makes me mad when I think about it and how I would have handled it differently. Obviously, at 37 as opposed to 22, he called and just, you know, I don't call me, I call you. And if I feel like
God.
yeah, he gave me one of those, like, you
The
know
farm director talk.
till you know we're ready to yada 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 and I was like he was like nobody wants you back such and I'm like oh okay and I didn't call again. I remember like 76 games went by and I finally got a call and was like against this was their thing like why would you bring me back then against everybody's will we're gonna give you another shot yada it just you know it was always rooted
Right.
in
Right.
negativity
Right.
and BS. So if you're gonna bring me back, be like, hey man, you clean, but let's do this. And I didn't do anything. That's the initial part.
Right.
They brought me back.
Right.
I had a really good year that year. In the short season they sent me to, I remember all the articles is saying was why is he not getting promoted?
Right.
Why is he
Right.
still there? He played there last year. And it was like, oh yeah, our team is set and we're not it doesn't matter what he does, he's not getting promoted here. The Dodgers are just a bad and then I got hurt. I had a really good in 2011. I was having a really good spring, tore my quad.
Mhm.
Scared about, you know, telling the organization I'm hurt. So I sat
Right.
out a couple days, lied about it, you know, doing high knees, but my leg is done.
Right.
They sent me
Right.
off to Michigan, 30
Uh-huh.
degrees,
Oh,
snowing, 50
is
mile an
that
hour wind, game
leg,
one.
legs are real done. Yeah.
Yeah, they're done. So I got off to a bad start, but I was still leading tops in the league, like in RBIs and home runs. I just was hitting like 180. I started
Right.
one
Right.
of our hidden rovers came in and worked with me for a little bit, got me no, I wouldn't say back right. I wasn't healthy, but you know, gave me that boost of confidence, like they're still rocking with me. And I started hitting, and then we're in Dayton, Ohio, playing a doubleheader. I get hit in the hand, broke my hand. It was out for 3 months. Came back, was up and down. So it was just an injury riddled season. But that year, they wrote me off that year. You know, it
Right.
was
Right.
supposed to be my first full season. Injury riddled. I ended up hitting like 230 with like 14 home runs. Broke hand, torn quad. Anybody else, you know, you get a
Yeah.
pass. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He's hurt.
Right.
Like you
Right.
get a pass. Like he had a hurt year.
Did they rehab you before they released you?
I got released the 9 and 12, the spring after that. Again, 12 was another injury riddled year. My best 2 years were my first 2 years. Then the last 2 years I was hurt. I was
Okay.
hurt. The last, so if they'd have flip flopped it, it would probably played out different if I'd have been hurt the first 2 years. But yeah, I was hurt my last two seasons with the Dodgers, and then I end up getting released in the spring 2013. I was having a big spring, taking all their prospects deep, and
Yep.
yeah, I remember it was the last. We had 3 days before we left. Three.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
batting
my
third.
God,
I'm
it
batting
sucks.
third or fourth in the AA game. Like I'm looking at the roster, like okay, cool. Like, and they call. We got a meeting with Tommy Lasorda in the lunchroom, and I'm running over like with my jersey on, and our field coordinator.
Yeah.
He was there for 3 years. He had never physically made contact with me. Never. He put his hand on my shoulder, and I knew it. He was like, hey, Ake. And I was like, okay, I know. He was like, Deshaun wants to talk to you. And I had two of my
Oh,
homies
like
next to
that?
me. And I was like, hey man, y'all go get it. Like, good luck. Said
Wow.
gave me the speech and the black bag, and now everybody's over in the locker looking at you pack your shit up in the big black trash. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Who ain't dealt with it though, so I ain't special. Yeah,
I get you, man. It's tough, man. Rejection's crazy, man. Rejection's crazy. I've been in that situation where you were talking about being cornered, bro. I remember when I was in a spring training game, my second spring training with the Cardinals, and bro, they had a big leaguer. We're playing the Marlins. They had a big leaguer come in to pitch, right? So I knew that strike zone was going to be like way out
hmm
here, right? He's going to get every call.
for sure.
So they got a minor league umpire back there. I'm hitting and I'm watching him K the first two guys in front of me. And I'm talking about they were in the next time zone, dog. Like they were
hmm
in the other batter's box. I was like, okay, bro. So I'm like, he's going to throw me 3 pitches and then he's going to call strikes on all of them. So I sat there, I took the first one in the other's batter's box, strike. 3 more of those. I sat there, I looked at him. I said, that's one, bro. That you get that one. I looked at the umpire. I wasn't even mad at the big leaguer. He's a big leaguer. Bro, what am I going to do? I walk back to the dugout. I get on deck for my next at bat, and I already said, I see him. The umpire. He's still doing this, and it was an umpire I knew, and
hmm
he's still doing this. So I walked up there, first one. I said, "All right, bro." I said, "That's in the." I'm telling him where the pitch is at. I said, "That's a foot outside." He goes, "Shepard, knock it off." Next one, I said, "Bro, that one is a foot inside, bro." I said,
hmm
"That one's down, whatever." So the third one, he does it, and I looked at him. I straight up said, "I said, man, you're dog." And he looked at me. He goes, "I don't want to run you from a spring training game." I said, "Well, you're gonna have to." I had already made my mind up in the batter's box.
Yeah.
I sat there. I said, "Bro, you're gonna have to because you already took the half the day from me, man." I said, "We got everybody here watching us, so I don't care." I said, "You're dog shit." He said, "Say it one more time." So I said it. He says, "You're out of here. You're gone." So I go into the dugout. I'm getting my stuff together. And here comes our farm director at the time, our
hmm
minor league camp, whatever. And it was Mike Schilt,
The
who ended up being
manager.
the Cardinals manager. Yeah. And ended up, now he's the Padres manager.
Yeah.
Me and Mike had a good relationship before this. We had a great relationship. I really, it was weird, man. Very weird. Now I know Mike was from wherever he's from, but he decided that he was going to stand over me and say, he's chewing me out. So he's starting to chew me out. But now he's chest bumping me. As I stand up, he's chest bumping me. And he goes, "Boy," he goes, "you better." Basically, he called me boy a couple times. And I sat there, I said, "Oh man." And now we're chest bumping for real. So
hmm
I said, "Mike, I'm gonna see you inside when we get inside, man." And this is just how I was, man. I said, "I'm gonna see you
No,
inside."
you nothing
And
wrong with what you did.
yeah, so I said, "I'm gonna see you inside." So we get inside, and now we're in there with the big league rehab instructor. So the only saving grace that I had, I was in the exact same situation you were in, Nick. The only saving grace that I had then, because I had no control over my temper back then. I had no control over like the things that I sat there and said when I got emotional. It was this Mike Schilt and it was Lily. I forget his first name, but he was a big leaguer at one point in time. Great dude. Lily was sitting in his desk.
Ted
And
Lilly.
Mike's basically maybe it was Ted Lilly. I can't remember, but he was a great dude. And he sat there and he goes, Mike's yelling at me. He's like, "Man, Lily, I'm done with this MF. I'm done with this MFer. I'm done." And I'm sitting there looking at him like, "Bro, we had a great relationship. You're upset because I called you out because you can't call me boy in front of my teammates. You can't stand over me and call me boy and expect me not to stand up and sit there and say, bro, that's not going to happen."
Y'all didn't have a great relationship. He was
You're right.
smiling and grinning in your face. You thought he was
You're
cool,
right.
but he never liked you. And he got
100%.
his
That is that
opportunity.
that is, I appreciate you saying that right here on this pod, bro. That, yeah, a lot of people will smile in your face and tell you what you want to hear, and they'll praise you. They'll do all this stuff. But what are they saying when the doors are closed? What are they saying behind your back? You have no control over that. I have no control over that. Nick had no control over that. But it is what it is. So I think that the conversation ended with I gave him my piece. I said, "I think you're full of blah, blah, blah." And I sat there and there was this metal chain door and I sat there, I punched it right in front of him. I said, "You call me boy again." I said, "That's not going to be the metal chain door I'm hitting." So he got up and left the room.
Now he's scared.
Everything, yeah, everything's good. If it wasn't for Lily having my back, because the thing is, everybody, when you're playing minor league baseball, I've said it before on other pods, there's 7 levels that you have to climb to before you get to the big leagues. Well, every single day, a report goes out on each player. So if that manager doesn't like you, he's sending out a negative
Just
report
saying
or a
whatever he
report that,
wants to write.
yeah. And it starts from the moment you get to the locker room. What did he eat? How did he prepare? What did he do? How was his games? I mean, they look at the stats at the very end, but they're doing all this mental makeup stuff in between. So if you have a set of people that dislike you, unfortunately, baseball is one of those things where they can blackball you very, very quickly. And I've given my story on the previous pods, but mine was self sabotage. Drugs were part of my story. That was the thing, man. That's why I got released by the Cardinals. You can't send me to rehab 2 seasons in a row and then expect me to come back and I'm gonna be your guy. You know, the investment piece is gone. I heard you, Nick, talk about the self-esteem piece. You know, you talked about the having the S, the Superman stuff, and I know that real well. I remember the dry fits and stuff, man. I thought those were dope. When did you feel, you know, you're a father now, you know, your dad was working to mold you into the man that he felt you needed to be and things like that, or helping you get there, whatever that, you know, whatever that path needed to be for you, which I saw a lot. You touched on it. When did that self-esteem piece start rolling through for you to where you were putting it together, where you're like, man, I know who I am. I don't need that approval, and not even the approval, just where you felt good about yourself. And now that you're a father of 3 boys, man, how does that translate, and how do you teach them that self-esteem piece now when you look at it full circle?
It never really kicked in while I was playing. I mean, you said it there. I always doubted myself and looked for outside approval instead of knowing who I was and what I was capable of, regardless of how the day went or an at bat went or what this person said or what this person wrote. So I always struggled and battled with that. As a father now, I can when I'm out the game and yeah, with my sons, I can see the part of my life that it played and how it held me back and changed a lot of the course of things that were possible. You know, belief in
Right.
yourself is everything, man.
What about self-forgiveness, man? What about was there ever a time where you had to look back, where you knew, cuz I do it all the time, Nick. I do that self-reflection stuff, man. I'm a spiritual dude and I get into my bag of meditation and stuff from time to time, bro. Be it as it may. I guess it's just like when you reflect back, how much of that, you know, has taught you something now, and when you look back, are you able to sit there and see the moments where it's like, damn, if I would have done this a little bit differently, if I would have maybe not said anything, or if I would have been more equipped
Of
to handle
course,
this situation, like, you know, do you look back on those now, and are you able to give those moments to your kids?
of course, I look back on those. You know, you was talking about forgiveness. You have to forgive, just like you have to forgive yourself. If we didn't, it'd be hard to get through the day.
Right.
You know,
Right. And
honestly.
the self-forgiveness piece, man. When I go back, dude, for me, Nick, I sit there and I look at a lot of shit I've done, bro. Like when I had moments where like I felt I was gassed up. I gassed myself up, or somebody gassed me up, bro. It's easy to do that, bro. I'm like, oh yeah, this is who I am. My identity is Devin, the baseball player, and I'm dope, bro. And when I look back, I'm like, man, my head was so big that it didn't have enough space to let me growth in. It didn't allow me to mature or anything. But then I go, man, and it's hard sometimes, Nick. I go, man, I really myself. I really the bed, bro. And now
Who
I have to
hasn't?
sit right. So that self-forgiveness. Do you ever
That's
feel
what.
that where
Of
yeah,
course, there has to be some familiarity here, like I said, because we didn't play in the big leagues, and you could have.
right,
You're a
right,
10-year big leaguer, a 10-year
right.
big leaguer,
Yep.
$100 million contract, all star. Like you had that, you had that ability, and it didn't
Right.
happen for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. So there has to be a level of forgiveness there. And I look back, and yeah, a lot of mine was self-sabotage. Like, of course,
Yeah.
you look back like, man, why did I do that? Why didn't I go this hard? Why didn't I sit in class and do my work and be able to get the scholarships that I should? Why did I go to NAIA? Why did I go to, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
If you didn't, like I said, it'd be hard to get through the day, and it's just part of the growth and maturity in the process. You know, you have kids now. I have kids. You get an opportunity to try to give them that backbone of self assurance and reassurance and support. Like, hey, just go hard. And
Right.
your mistakes are gonna happen, and it's okay.
What are some of those first steps nowadays that you can tell your kids, like what are the first steps to rebuilding that confidence after like a major setback?
Just go, bro. Everybody wants the perfect. Just go hard. Go hard is something, when you feel that fear and that apprehension and that nervousness, you can either curl up or you can go through. You're not gonna escape that feeling. but you can
Right.
definitely choose how you respond to it. And I try to tell my sons that, like, sometimes not often, but my oldest son, like, I'm really into like the hunts, the lion hunt, zebras, wild dogs. And it's, it's a lot. Like, I can't watch it like I used to when I was a little younger. It just messes with me, but it's real
Right.
and it's raw. And
Right. Right.
I'll
Right.
show him some things and I'm like, okay, you gonna just lay down and say, eat me? Or
Right.
or are you gonna kick till it's over? You just gonna
Right.
lay down and say, shit, it got me. Like, or are you gonna fight?
Right.
And it
Right.
has
Right.
nothing to, like, yeah, just go, bro. So you feel that you feel that feeling, just smash through it. And you're gonna look
Right.
back and be like, man, it wasn't that bad. Where we get in trouble is we stop and we want to sit in it and we want to
Right.
feel bad and you feel bad for me and feel bad for me. We've all felt that. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
the best medicine for that is movement. Just get
Mm.
up and start doing something, man. Because when you sit down, like, and you get idle, your mind gets to racing. You're not doing anything productive. Like, you have
Right.
to, and I'm not acting like it's easy, but you asked me what's the remedy for that. Just start moving,
Right.
dude.
Right.
Just start
Right.
moving and just go hard. If you
Right.
go hard, like, that's more than half of it right there. Just start
Right.
going hard and moving and
But
just keep going forward.
right. As a baseball player, man, we used to define success, brother, as how many
Hits you
hits
got.
we, yeah, and how many home runs we hit. As a father, how do you define success now?
Um, my kids' self-esteem. Do they speak up when they're talked to? Do they look people
Right.
in the eye?
Mm.
Are they comfortable in their own skin? Do they feel like, can they talk to me if they have a problem? Can they talk to their mother if they have a problem? Do they feel comfortable coming to me and telling me things? Do they sleep well at night? Should people take for
100%.
granted? Like, are your kids at peace when they sleep? Do they feel safe? Like, that's success to me. That other shit, I know we live in a very materialistic world, and what are you driving, and what do you got
Right.
on, and where do you live, and how many vacations did you go on? That's all they push
Yep.
at us.
Yep.
But
Yep.
if you strip it down, man, a lot of times, most of the time, that shit is that ain't what's really important, and that shit comes and goes, and yeah, it's that's not what it's about. Are you given? Do you have purpose? Are you able to deal with your frustrations? Because we're all gonna get them.
Right.
Are you able? Does your family trust you? Do they love you? They answer the phone when you call. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Did
Absolutely.
you eat? Did you eat today? Are your sheets clean? Simple shit. We put too much on it,
Right.
man. You know what I'm saying? We put
Yes,
way
sir.
too much on it, and shit that ain't gonna matter when you in the ground. Nobody's gonna be like, "Hey, man, Devin he always the freshest Nikes." You know what I'm saying? Nobody
Right.
did stupid shit. Or he always had that fly truck, man. I used to like, yeah, nobody's talking about that. Somebody's gonna be like, hey, I remember how he made me this, or
Yeah.
I could count on him for that. Like, I miss this about him. I miss being able to, yeah. Then we take that shit for granted and make a logo what you should be striving and attaining for. So
That's
I don't
right,
have the
man.
answers, but yeah.
I hear you, man. And that's something, dude. Like I used to think, as an adult, one day I'm gonna wake up. One day, I don't know when, maybe I'm gonna be 50, 60, 20, 30. I don't know. One day as an adult, when I was a kid, I used to think, man, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna have all the answers. I'm gonna be able to speak to this, I'm gonna be able to speak to that, I'm gonna know how this works. You're not gonna be able to tell me nothing, bro. I'm gonna know everything. That's just what I'm gonna become as an adult. And I'm so grateful, for some of the struggles that I've gone through, Nick, man, because it's helped me shut my mouth. It's helped me learn to just, bro. Sometimes I need to just, I'm my own worst enemy. And learning these things, I've learned a lot of these things from my children, from my daughters. They dumb it down. Exactly what you just said. They keep it real, man. Like my 9-year-old, my middle child, she loves to have like mom and dad movie nights. She likes to just curl up on the couch and just hang out. And I never had that, but I can appreciate these things now because I go, man, I could be anywhere right now that I wanted to be. I could be the worst father, the worst husband, all this other stuff. I could be just gone. But the most important things are right here being with my family. That's the most important thing. And I learned little tricks and little, I guess, wisdom pieces from my kids. And like, today, before we did this pod, we talked about it for a second. I was at my daughter's, third grade awards ceremony. And I didn't know what kind of award she was getting. We just got a note from the teacher saying that, hey, show up on this time at this day at 10 o'clock. There's an award ceremony at her school. I said, okay, cool. So she doesn't know we're coming. And my wife and I show up with our newborn and we're sitting in the back. and she sees us. She's all excited. Now she knows something's going on, right? Mom and dad are here. And they do the two third grade classes before her first. So I see the awards are going to go. They got the kindness award, the shark award, all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, so my daughter's going to get that kindness award. She gets that kindness award every year. I was like, that's cool, man. She's just a sweet little girl. Well, they passed her on the 4 top awards, and I was like, I look over at her face, and me as a parent. So this is where my this is where I'm like, oh, that's some BS, man. I live for these awards now. This is what I live for, man. This is and I had to catch myself, Nick. Today I was like, man, this is a reflection on me as a parent, man. And I had to like stop. Oh, she ended up getting 2 awards. She was the only person in her class that got 2 awards. She got reading and math, and I think that's fantastic. Yeah. And I had to stop, man. Every night, Nick, she comes home. She has a Kindle. I'm like, did you do your reading? She's got to do 3 chapters of reading when she comes home from school. She's got to do, the only time she can watch TV on the weeknights is on her tablet if she's watching a math and science show or game or doing something like that.
Tough as parent.
Right. Yeah. No, dude, I preach. I got a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 4-month-old. Just to the 2 oldest, I preach. You're going to college. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I was like, I don't care if you don't get a scholarship. I don't care if I have to work 6 jobs. You're going to go to college because that's just something that you need to do. I do, man. And that's just because I know, man, for you and I both, bro, we went to college. We were athletes. Baseball ended. I know we had to figure that stuff out, man. We didn't have anything mapped out 100%. So I'm I got to make sure that there's something there mapped out for these kids. And for sure, those things are going to structure and change as they get older and what their desires are and stuff like that. Are there any things that your children maybe unknowingly have taught you, bro, as a parent, that you sit back and you're like, oh man, like, are there any moments like that, bro?
All the time. If you're not constantly being revisionist as a parent, you're not being a parent, because you going up all the time. You're gonna be like, damn, I
Did
shouldn't.
Big Nick ever were there ever moments with Big Nick where he was like, yo, man, hey, I know I've been telling you this, but like, hey, and you had to restructure where he had to, do you remember any moments where he restructured and came to you and was like, yo, man?
He does more so now. Not when I was young. He was different breed when I was a kid. He
Yeah.
does so now. He'll do it now. Not when I was young, no. But yeah, if you're not being revisionist, because you make mistakes, should I have said that? Should I have came at him like that? Do I pull back? Do I go in? Like, there's no rule book to this thing. You're doing your best and you want the best for him. Your mind is constantly turning and churning on what I should have done, what I could have done, what I need to do, what I don't need to do. You're myself as a person and my shortcomings and the things that I need to get better at. So I'm constantly reminded you want the best for him and you want him. It's unrealistic. You want him to be perfect and not make mistakes, and you want to just listen and do this. But I'm like, hey, if I'm 37, if I'm struggling or having, still working on these things, like, let me give some grace to the 11-year-old, to the 5-year-old, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and
Yeah.
just keep guiding them and stay positive. Like, I don't have this shit figured out. So it gives you it if you're active in it definitely will teach you that patience. And you got to get creative, because these kids aren't like how we were. They're not
Facts.
they're not like us. They're very
Right.
it's just a different time. We obviously we had emotion, we felt emotion, but that just wasn't something that was catered to, especially
Nah.
for boys when we were growing up,
Nah.
that shit and how I feel and what I need. Like, nah, this is what it is, and you either get it done or you don't. They don't operate like that. So you definitely have to pull yourself back and like, okay, well, how do I say do it? Do I still? Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a journey. Definitely a journey, and it's not for the weak or the meek or the mentally lazy. If you want to do
No.
it, if you want to do a good job, I'm not judging
Facts.
anybody's. If you want to do a good job, and everybody's good job looks different. If you want to do a good job, I think we ultimately just want our kids to be confident, happy, healthy. That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
And I agree. I hear you on that 100%. And my mom was the same way. I may not have had my dad around. My mom kind of took on both roles oddly. She would do the. I don't remember my mom coddling me a lot when I was younger, but she would always tell me, like, anytime I got emotional or stuff like that, she'd be like, "I need to know." This was my mom's. This was her like catchphrase, bro. I need to know that when I'm not here on this earth, that you can be strong and that you can take care of yourself and stand on your own 2 feet. That's what my mom has always said. She said, I need you to make sure that you're strong. We don't cry. We don't do this. But we hold our emotions tough. We deal with it and we move on. So that's just how we grew up 100%. And I know that, man. Nick,
Hmm.
brother, I see you still playing baseball, bro. I still see it on the Facebook. I still see you swinging. I still see you hitting the home runs, bro. Talk to everybody about what you're doing right now. Talk to them about what your kids are doing, like the baseball. What do you got going on now that you're? I can't even say you're not playing anymore because I still see
I
you
play
playing,
once a
bro.
week,
Like,
man. Don't play with me. I
yeah,
play once a week,
yeah, I
dog,
see
and
you.
it's just a chance for me to scratch my itch. Shout out to Joey Molina, the zone
Mm,
games. He created it 5 years ago, and it was just a pipeline to Mexico. That's how I got over there. And we started
nice, nice.
in the Pacoima projects. He was holding games like at the park field in the projects in Pacoima, and got 4 or 5 guys signed to Cancun out of there. And
Right,
it's gotten bigger and more global. We got dudes coming from Japan and all
yeah,
over trying to, get indie ball contracts. Obviously, the
right,
main goal is to get to Mexico, but get indie ball contracts. Some guys have signed affiliate. We got a guy that came through the zone and ended up getting to Mexico, and he's in Japan
okay,
now. He's in Japan
all
now
right. That's what's up.
for the younger guys. So yeah, it's I get to, like I said, I get to scratch my itch every now and then. I still get a chance to swing hard if I catch one. I still get that
Right.
little high running around the bases and doing
Oh
my
yeah,
thing.
oh
But
yeah.
I'm coaching. I'm coaching my son. My oldest son just started playing his first game this year in January. He's 11, so he started late. But I was still playing when he was younger, and I just never
Right,
really kind of he's always done athletic stuff. I've always worked him out. He's in great shape, and he's an
right,
athlete, but never anything sports specific. So he came to me
right,
last year and said he wanted to play,
right.
and we were starting our journey. And my middle son is right behind him, watching taking his steps. So coaching travel ball. 9 to 14 out in the Inglewood. So it's cool to try to give back and give some life lessons and some insight to the kids that look like me from similar
Absolutely.
areas. Nothing wrong with that. And then
No,
yeah, just taking care of my family at the end of the day after that. Life is
that's it, man. I love it, Nick. What's the name of the travel ball team that you're working with?
the LA Rock Stars out of
LA
Inglewood, Darby
Rockstars.
Park.
All right, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
When do you guys play? When do you guys play? When's your next tournament?
I believe our next tournament is in Vegas on the 18th through the 19th coming up. So pretty
Is that
soon.
like a is that like a perfect game showcase or something like that, or
I just think it's some desert thing, and
regular tournament?
I'm going with the 10. So we got our 10s are going, our 12s are going, our 14s are going. I'll be with the 10s because my oldest son is playing.
Man, I love that, brother. I know we're running out of time. I know we definitely ran over, but this has been a good pod, man. I appreciate catching up with you and everything like that. I want to end this with one thing, like I don't know if your dad's gonna tune in and check this out. I hope he
Of course,
does.
he's going to check it out.
Yeah,
Of
man.
course,
Big
he
Nick, what's
is.
up? What's up, Big Nick? Love you, brother. What's one thing that you could tell your pops right now, straight to your dad?
Mhm.
Like maybe you haven't told him that you're appreciative of something or anything. What could you say to your pops right now, man? All these years have gone by, 37 years, bro. What do you say to your pops?
Ain't shit perfect, but I'm still in the trenches with you, and I will be until one of us is no longer here, and I mean that shit. And I have a different appreciation. Though was it great? No, but I know everything came from love, and like I said, I'm sunk in until it's over. That's all I can give him.
I love that, man. I know he's gonna love that. Big Nick, shout out to you, man. Appreciate everything that you did for Nick, for me, and for everybody else. I mean, what was it Trayvon Robinson, what a big dude that went in the fifth round, fourth round out of before us? What's
Daryl,
his name? I
yeah,
can't remember.
community, Daryl
Daryl
Jones,
Jones.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, man, Big Nick was there for all of us, man, and he
I'm
never
glad
wanted
you
anything
were
in
able to
return.
pull something from me.
Of course, man. Of course. Big Nick never wanted anything in return. He just wanted to see us all do better than what our parents did. And it's a testament to you, brother, because you're doing this with your boys now. And you're in a position to give back and teach them everything that you learned, good and bad, and how to navigate these things. Because look, man, I'm a true believer. I'm gonna end it with this, man. I'm a true believer that everything that we've gone through, obviously, is for a reason. There's somebody greater than us that is controlling this world, man. And I truly believe that if it wasn't for the struggles that I went through, I wouldn't be able to teach my daughters. If it wasn't for the struggles that you went through, brother, you wouldn't be able to teach your sons.
For
So
sure.
we're in this position, and just like you said, we're able to give back now. You know what I mean,
We run from struggle, but
brother?
we should embrace it. There's nothing wrong with struggle. It makes you better. I don't, it's like people act like it's a bad thing. Embrace it and get through it and it lets you know you can get through something and you'll be all right.
100%, man. Nick, stay on the pod so we can get everything uploaded after this. Everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in to the Healthy Mental Pod. Another great episode. Really wanted to touch in on some of the things that we people don't discuss and talk about when in athletics and high functioning environments and things like that. So again, thank you for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Healthy Mental Pod. I'm your host, Devin Shepard. This has been Nick Aikens. Thank you so much. Take care of your health and take care of your mental.